Hello everyone, I wanted to come on here and make a post about an interesting conversation and an interesting experience that I had this morning. I was having a conversation with my mom and, as many conversations are going right now, not just in my world, but I think in the world at large, the conversations are very heavy. They're very, alarming. They cause some stress. They are usually about what's going on in the world and what's happening and the things that are like, we don't know so much about, or we don't know how we feel about it, or we know how we feel about it, but we don't know what to do about it. And so we were kind of having a conversation along that line, right? And I realized, like, as we were talking about it, I could feel like myself going in more and more and more retracted, more suppressed, smaller, more hopeless, more feelings of like, oh my God, what are we going to do about this? Like, it's going to take so much and I don't even know. Like, it's just overwhelming. And it became so, within such a short amount of time, it became so overwhelming that I could literally feel myself just kind of disappearing into that overwhelm, right? And it started this whole new conversation between my mom and I of just like, wow, okay, that was a powerful force. That force of fear and confusion and uncertainty and feelings of injustice and wanting to make a change and not knowing how. And immediately what I was reminded of is that I'm not the only one feeling those things. And not only am I the only one not feeling those things, I'm also not the only one that feels this power of wanting to serve. I'm also not the only one having these feelings of things have to change. This can't keep happening this way. Things have to be different. We need something new. We need a new structure. We need this. We need that. And I'm also not the only one that feels absolutely overwhelmed by it. So I wanted to come on here and make a video to address this, because I know if you're anything like me and if you're receiving this message and you're still watching this video, that you are also potentially in those feelings and you're not alone. So I wanted to bring a couple of ideas to you as I kind of explored this in myself. And the first one is talking about what a conglomerate is. Okay, I know we're not going in the direction of business or politics or anything like that, but I thought the word was very fitting, because what happens is when we get into that state of thinking and being, we get really fucking overwhelmed, and suddenly we feel like we're just this one person in this one box, and this is where we are, and how the fuck are we going to get out of this box, right? We see ourselves as this very, very alone and separate entity of just us. And when we look outside of our own entity, we see things as if it's just this muddled and separate thing that just becomes like robotic almost, right? We can look at other situations and think, oh, we might not even have the conscious thought of like, okay, I'm the only one who's going to do this. How am I going to be able to do this? But it's that feeling of like totally out of reach and potentially hopeless, right? And what we have to remember is that we are together. We are together in this. The whole world is together in this. And the thoughts that you're having, you're not alone in having them, right? And so I want to return to a thing that I was talking about in some of my classes, as well as something that I had posted in my link bio of Milgram's studies of obedience and other studies that were done about using the power of our voice, right? Recently, I was learning about what it takes for passersby to help somebody on the street. Oftentimes we don't, because we think and we feel that somebody else will take the responsibility. But the thing is that we could be the one that starts that train of taking responsibility as a community, as a whole. And how do we do that? How do we start that? We simply use our voice and connect to the power of our voice, right? Because it literally starts with one. It doesn't mean the whole world has to come together and agree on one thing and that's how we make change. No, that's not realistic. We're never going to agree on all the things all of the time. There's billions of people in this world, and we're not going to agree on all the things all of the time. But when we connect with our hearts and we connect with the power and the things that we know, okay, this isn't right and it needs to be fixed. How do we fix it? We connect with that essence of love within us, and we move from that place. And we understand that the person sitting next to us, or our neighbors next door, or the people that we don't know or we don't make eye contact, they're the same as us. They're the same. And they have similar hearts that we do. They may think about things very differently than we do, but at the end of the day, we are all created from the same thing. We all come from the same thing. And so when we think about all of this overwhelming thing of, okay, how do we bring about change, or how do we stand up, and how do we make the voice, or how do we say, I'm not okay with this? Does it even matter if I say that? Yes, it does. And you want to know why? Because your voice magnifies a message. Right? So think about the types of conversations that you're having. Even if it's not you coming on here and making videos and sending it out to the mass media so that we can all get on the same page. It doesn't have to be big like that. It can be our everyday conversations that we have, right? Think about the messages that you receive in, how those messages make you feel, and then if you're going to use your powerful voice to magnify that message. So think about it like this. We're having conversations about potentially what's happening politically. We're having conversations about potentially what's happening economically. We're having conversations about potentially what's happening around this virus, right? Around the rules around this virus, around the fear that we feel, around the uncertainty that we feel. All of those things feel so big and so out of our control, right? Are you using how you feel about that to magnify the fear around it? Are you using your powerful energy to magnify the uncertainty, the disconnection, the separateness, the confusion, the fear? Or are you realizing that, okay, this is where we are, and I am a being of love, and I am going to choose to use my powerful voice, even in this one-on-one conversation with somebody else, to send a message of change, to send a message of hope, to send a message that empowers them to feel this empowered state that I feel. Because at the end of the day, you guys, we get to choose. We get to choose how our energy, which message our energy magnifies. That is up to us. And that's fucking potent. And that's why I'm on here, because I want to remind you, because you know this, deep down you know this. Your voice has power, and you get to choose how to use it. And so I want to encourage you and give you a couple of reminders when it comes to this. 3 things. The things that you see in this world that frustrate you, that make you angry, that make you feel like that's not fair, you're not alone. You are not the only one having that thought. You are not the only one having that feeling. Okay? You're not. So when you get overwhelmed by it, know that you're not alone, that there are others around you that feel the same way, and find solitude and find respite in that thought. That it doesn't have to be overwhelming to feel that, because you're not alone and you're not the only one. And when you use your voice, you empower everybody else to use their voice to magnify that message with love. Okay? Number 2, we're not alone in our visions either, right? So we can easily get overwhelmed. And then, I don't know about you guys, but I've been having like these downloads of like, okay, this is what it would take. This is what it would take. This is what I can do in my community. This is what I can do for myself. This is what I can do for whatever it may be. This is the picture, the bigger picture that I hope to see unfold. If we allow that hope to transcend from this place of kind of just waiting to see, and we recognize, like, okay, I'm not alone in how I feel right now. Everybody else is potentially, or not everybody, but a lot of people are thinking about this along the same lines as me. How can I help magnify that? Again, connecting to the power of our voice. The third thing I want to remind you of is that even in the moments of the most fear and the most uncertainty, the most confusion, and the most feelings of separateness, we belong to each other. Glennon Doyle Melton said that first, I think. I don't know, that's where I heard it first. But it's a huge reminder that we belong to each other. And that doesn't mean that we have to fucking agree. That doesn't mean that we have to be all on the same fucking page to look out for one another. That doesn't mean that I take care of me and mine, and you take care of you and yours. It's us, and it's ours. It's us, and it's ours, and we get to take care of one another because we belong to one another. So in those moments when you feel the most separated, when you feel the most disconnection, when you see the injustices of the world and you're like, holy shit, I can't even reach that. How do I make a difference? Just your voice, and just remembering that you are a part of this united whole. And the way that we find that united feeling is by connecting with ourselves and allowing ourselves to connect to the love that's innate within us so that we can send that out and use our voice to magnify that message of love to others. Okay? So I also want to just take this moment to say that our ability to connect with the world outside of us is in direct correlation to our ability to connect to ourselves. It's so important. It starts here. It starts here in the heart. This is why I'm always I don't know if you guys know, I'm always touching my chest, because me connecting to myself is me connecting to you. And that's how we stay connected. So that's how we magnify our connection, right? So I'm super excited because I have a really an awesome project that I am putting together. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I will be slowly trickling out more and more information as it comes together. And the last thing I want to remind you of, this is a little bit separate, but this is not about politics, all right? This is not about the politics of the world. This is about transcending that and remembering that at the end of the day, we all want something very similar outside of politics, outside of religion, outside of what I think is right and what you think is right and how I see things and how you see things. Okay, at the end of the day, we all want peace, we all want love, and we all just want to be taken care of. How we do that, who knows, right? Who knows? I think that everybody's still trying to figure that out. But leading with love and leading with a desire to stay and maintain our united feeling, that is what is potent as shit, okay? I took a bunch of notes on that. Anyway. I love you guys. I hope that this message sits well with you. And if you want to talk more about this, post in the comments. Tell me what comes up for you. What is your vision? What are you seeing? What is the change in the message that you want your voice to magnify? And let's magnify it together.